Kick-ass confidence for the woman who wants more passion, power, and personal style. Hello, beautifuls, and welcome back to Kick-Ass Confidence. I'm your host and your confidence coach, Linda, and we are talking about all things confidence and personal style, the Ferrari that is in your closet, which is fashion. What has fashion got to do with confidence? What has fashion got to do with you establishing your own personal style? And when life gets busy, which it does for all women, when we are taking care of our kids, our family, our marriage, our community, our workplace, our business, our career, where exactly do we find time to get up, dress up, and accessorize? I mean, for goodness sake, who's got time for that? Well, I am excited today to introduce you to a beautiful woman, a precious client, who I'm just going to ask to share her story. Her name is Ruth Zoder, and I want to do a proper introduction because this is a dynamo, a powerhouse that I'm excited for you to listen to and to connect with today. So Ruth is in the house. Ruth is a very accomplished global sales leader with an incredible track record of building teams to basically produce revenue and expand market share for her companies, mostly corporate. She has won 20 Circle of Excellence and President Club annual awards. If you didn't catch that, I did say 20. You're right. So she's clearly an accomplished businesswoman who I want you to ask the question. So why would someone like Ruth invest in a coaching program that has to do with confidence and personal style? I mean, look at her. She's confident. She's well-dressed. So I'm going to ask her that question. She lives in New Jersey with her husband, Tom, and she is now a dog mom to 3-year-old Storm, who I think is a golden retriever. And where she can, obviously spends her time with her beautiful college graduate daughter, Natalie, and her mom, who lives in Pennsylvania, if I'm correct, who very sadly lost her husband of 60 years not long ago. Obviously, Ruth's heartbreaking loss of her father. So that's where she spends her time in between everything else. And her love of travel and of friends takes her all over the world, including the life-changing Spirit of Beauty International inaugural trip with Linda Page in 2022, which is where we actually got to meet in person after she joined the coaching program. So this is a corporate executive. She's also a business coach. She is also a grief recovery coach. And so without further ado, Ruth, my love, so good to see you. Welcome to Kick-Ass Confidence.
Thank you, Linda. Great to see you too. Love seeing
Always
you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, so I'm just going to dive straight in. Okay, so I'm going to ask you what probably women who are watching or listening, what does a dynamo like you, someone who's clearly accomplished in business, has got an amazing life that she has built for herself, has got the tools and the skills to overcome hurdles and deal with, I mean, you're a business coach as well, you're a grief recovery coach. What led you to invest in a coaching program that is called Confidence through the Power of Personal Style?
Thanks, Linda. Yes. Well, first of all, I'm a serial learner, so that's part of it. I like to constantly learn more and invest and so forth. But at the time that I found you, Linda, I was really searching for what was going to be the next step, what was missing. I was definitely that executive who was constantly buying new, more and more clothes and so forth, right? Because I felt like wherever I went, I couldn't wear the same thing again. I always had to, just look the part. And I had this closet full of craziness. And it just wasn't really working for me. And so that was, just the fashion piece actually kind of grabbed me first. And I never would have guessed what came out of that. Obviously, we had our first call together, and we quickly went much deeper than fashion. But that probably was the thing that drew me in first. And all it takes is looking into your programs and speaking with you, and you realize there's a whole lot more there. And I think women, as they're going through their careers and so forth, they want to be around like-minded people. And when you're a leader, sometimes you don't have the opportunity to do that. For women who are in corporate, they certainly know If you're lucky, you find other female mentors. If you don't, you find the mean girls. And you
Yeah.
need to be able to navigate both.
I like
So,
that you went straight there, because that is a very powerful point that we need to make here. Because women in leadership roles, women in powerful positions of influence have a lot of responsibility. And I don't always necessarily believe that it gets lonely at the top, but it does if you are not surrounded by an intentional community, right? So talk to me a little bit about the community that you did experience at Linda Page, and just speak freely, because I would love for you to share with women, apart from the personal style and the training and the program, what were the women like in your experience?
in the Linda Page program, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that is a bonus that you can't even begin to imagine when you join the program. I went into it, frankly, for very selfish reasons. I wanted to handle the things I just mentioned, the closet. I wanted to spend more time with you. You were amazing. We had a great conversation. I just knew that was going to be fun to be part of your world. But the community just blows you away. At the time, we were doing everything, I believe, through Facebook and weekly workshops and so forth. And that became incredible just to watch women come on camera. I saw some amazing transformations, women that just didn't believe in themselves at all and just totally blossomed. I didn't initially see a lot of corporate women like me, so I looked for that as well, and more of those have come into the program. That's been pretty exciting as well. One of the things that blessed me incredibly on the trip in Africa, there was a young woman on the trip who was just starting her career in corporate.
That's right.
And yeah, I'm sure you remember. And we had some great conversations, and it was a little humbling to now be the older woman, right? Being asked for advice.
I love that. I'm gonna jump in there for a minute, because what you've said is so important, right? So we carry a mantle, we carry a responsibility. So what Ruth is talking about is this international event where our top VIP clients would come over to an exclusive 5-star 10-day event in South Africa, which was about powering up even more in business and in beauty and in confidence, and having fun with fashion and really taking it to the next level. And also pausing and taking time for ourselves, because that doesn't happen often. But on that particular trip, we had a beautiful young woman by the name of Estella, who is a young engineer, and was struggling to find her place in her corporate environment, right? And so tell me a little bit about your experience with her, and how you feel you guys with a different age, right? So you and I are similar age. She's much younger. She's in her 20s. And on this amazing journey to become, and she's a bright cookie. She is an incredible young leader in the making. How did you guys connect? What was the common ground, apart from obviously talking business? Tell us about that relationship.
Yeah, I think what happened there was she had just such an incredible thirst to learn more, and so she kept peppering me with questions. And at first, I thought she was just being polite, and I answered her questions and so forth. But she sought me out several times, and we had several conversations that were just really heartfelt, and so that was really pretty wonderful. I hope I gave her answers that were useful to her, but I know our connection actually was quite nice. And
Do
I
you
don't think.
feel, Ruth, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in here again. Do you feel that women in business, in the marketplace, are fulfilling their role to encourage and support younger businesswomen, or is there a threat? Is there this perceived threat?
I think there's both. I've been really fortunate in my career. I've had some really wonderful women leaders in my companies. And you do have to seek them out, though. And I think what Estella had, which was so wonderful, was that willingness to go ask questions and seek out. So I do think you have to take responsibility in many ways to do it yourself. Not all women are. I think even think to do it. You get so busy that sometimes it's easy to forget or spend the time on helping to mentor other folks that maybe aren't your direct reports, or just, not sure where they want to go with their careers. So, but it's really rewarding both ways. So definitely worthwhile to do. So that was really a nice aside on that trip. And then of course I met other women too that were more similar in age, I guess I'll put it that way, and really developed some great relationships with folks that none of us, I think, have a lot of time to connect sometimes these days, but we'll see each other through your community, and we'll drop a note to each other. I also know there's a handful that came out of that group that if I really needed help, I know I could pick up the phone and call. I got wonderful outreach from several of them when my father passed. Just you just don't expect that. There's this positiveness and awareness that we're all looking to obviously make life better, but we form these friendships as well, and you just can't put a price on that. You're getting all the wonderful things that you bring to community, but that friendship and I guess companionship for the trip is really something spectacular.
A bonus. Yeah. I love that. I love that you say that, because we have so much more in common as women than we do in conflict, right? But women have hurt women. Women have been hurt by women. In fact, I'm going to touch on something that happened with us in South Africa during that trip. And I want you to hear the story, because one of the things that's really important, and it impacts our confidence, it impacts our positioning, our relationships, is, in my experience, women are typically not prepared to have the tough conversations when something goes wrong, especially whether it's a friendship or a client relationship, or when someone, whether it's both that make a mistake or one. I am going to tell you very briefly that during that event, I was the one to screw up, because this is really important. There is this, and Ruth, I know you're too humble to mention this, so I'm going to mention it. There is this regrettable tendency to see powerful women who are confident, who are accomplished, as we got it all together, we don't screw up, and oh man, when we do, well, the shit hits the fan, right? And you're held almost to the stake. And this is where a truly confident woman will make space for grace. And I was the one to screw up during a certain conversation, a certain situation. And Ruth, it was you. Of the two women involved, it was you who made space for grace. And I have said it so many times, and I will continue to say it and to use that story and one or two others as a good example of, you didn't have to do that. So we had met in person. I'm your coach in the coaching program, and here I made a pretty, not serious as in life-threatening or anything, but it was a real reflection of a lot of things. You could have taken it as a character mark or anything. But when I came back and apologized, as I discovered, the true side of that story, I should have explored more. I should have asked questions first. But I was rather impetuous in my response. You made space for grace, and that really just incredibly boosted my already high level of respect for you. I want you to talk to women out there who are also powerful women, also accomplished, also confident and bold, and maybe sometimes are perceived as intimidating and that they can't be approached. How do they go about becoming more approachable, which is something that's so important for women to learn, to know that there are a safe space for other women without it, they're not mutually exclusive. You can be a safe place and you can be a powerhouse. Talk to me about that for a minute.
Thank you for sharing that story again. I don't think you needed to. There's always great grace among friends for sure, right? And but I think it goes to the point that you're asking, is we sometimes get this idea we have to be perfect, and we are not perfect, and we make mistakes, and I think ownership is such a powerful thing, because if you can have that conversation with a number with with the person that it's happened with, it can really open up the space for so much deeper connections and so forth. And so I think as women, the more we're willing to say, you know what, that wasn't my best, but here's what I'd like to do moving forward and so forth. I've had to do that at different times in my career, and I know when women meet me with grace, it makes all the difference and creates deeper relationships. And so I think be willing to make the mistakes and also be willing to apologize, be willing to have the difficult conversations. Sometimes not easy, but I think that's pretty critical. And you wanted me to talk about something else, and I went off on that. So what piece did I miss there that you want me to?
That's okay. So far, and I hope you're catching what Ruth is sharing here, because we have so much more in common when we stop and look around as women, regardless of where we come from or what our designation is in corporate America or what business we own or how many kids we are homeschooling, right? So she's spoken about, we've touched on humility, the power of humility. Confident women are humble. Confident women are not apologetic about their boldness or their ambition. She's also spoken about being a serial learner. Confident women know the value of investing in themselves and constantly learning, right? We go from baby to crawling to walking to running to climbing trees to jumping out of airplanes. We're designed to constantly be moving forward. So that's just a few of many. So toward the end of our conversation, Ruth, as a woman in business, as someone who has invested in her personal style and even going from very confident to the next level, because there's always more, what would you say to other women who are maybe at a point where they're like, they want to level up, but they're not sure how? Or where does personal style and confidence play a role? Like what one piece of advice would you give the businesswoman, regardless of her age of 25 or 65, what would you say to her now in that regard?
Keep learning, don't give up, get back up, right? Look for the friends around you to get back up with. There's nothing like sisterhood. There really isn't. I love the men in our lives. I couldn't do it without them for sure. But this is a community for women, and we can go deep fast and get through stuff. So just be willing to have the conversations and go through it. And you did remind me, one of the other things that I've learned that I think is underestimated, and you even make it part of your learning, but it's huge, and that's the power of smiling, right? Particularly if you're in corporate, it's look, everywhere it's hard right now. I'm just speaking to my own experience, but in corporate, there's a lot of hard times out there. People are hurting and so forth, and the power of a smile just can't be underestimated. You have no idea. You say it all the time, Linda, and I see it as well. You don't know what people are going through in their personal lives. And a smile can make their whole day. Certainly the same has been true for me. So I try to be mindful of that, because I can be serious and forget to smile, and people say, is something wrong? Or, because I tend to have that when I'm not smiling, that straight face. But so to just remember, give a smile. So it's, I think we learn that in kindergarten, but we forget it as we get older. We think we shouldn't. We should be more polished, or we should be this way. And it's just not true.
It's perfect. I love that. I love that you threw that in, because personal style is not limited to what we wear. It extends beyond us, from the luggage we're using to the smile is part of our capsule wardrobe. It's one of 30 items. So is the color red, because that communicates confidence, it communicates boldness, it catches the eye. So what about your style today, Ruth? So what it was then, what it is now, like what is the difference, and how is that working out for you?
The difference is playfulness, to have fun with it. I think when I look at photos from when I was starting in my career, or probably more when I got into management, maybe less so prior to that, but certainly in management, I look, and it's just what you would expect, right? It's like the navy suit, the black suit, or whatever. There's nothing wrong with the suits. I love the power of a blazer, right? But I have a lot more fun now and more playful. And I think that's the big difference. And I definitely attribute
Playfulness.
that to you. You always remind us to play. You're the perfect model of it. Even when I'm busy, if I can do a quick scroll through and look through your photos, the different jewelry and so forth, and mixing it up, always reminds me to play. And that's really powerful.
I love that. I love that. And has there been any response from your peers, your coworkers in your working environment to that?
Yes, for sure. Well, for one thing, what happens is you get in a group of women, and then they feel a little more empowered to play too because you're playing,
Yeah.
right? Because in many cases, it's still there's a lot of old boy networks out there and so forth. But in some ways, they can't play as much as we can, right? They're pretty limited
Yeah.
in what they can come to the business world
Yeah.
and maybe change their tie or the color of their shirt or whatever. We have a lot more options. So that's really fun to play with. And the more you do it, I think people around you respond
Yeah.
in kind. And yes, you'll get some that don't understand it or make the comment, but you have to do Linda's course to find out how to handle that.
Yeah, there's scripts for quips on how to use fashion as a connector because that's part of our mission, right? Is to restore the bond
Yeah.
between women that has been broken over the years. That's fantastic, Ruth. I'm loving the pink. I'm loving the smile. There was such a great. That alone is a powerful reminder because we're under pressure. Everyone's under pressure. There's so much change happening. Everything is changing and demanding. And it's not always easy to stop and remember to smile. Sometimes we don't feel like it. But do you find that when you position yourself by dressing yourself in a way that it gives you the energy and the focus and the reminder to do that, right?
Absolutely. And one of the powerful things you teach about, and I find it to be so true, is I work. When I'm not on the road, I work from home quite a bit. And the power of
Yeah.
dressing up when you're at home makes all the difference in your mindset, connecting, even on a quick video call, whatever it is. Even if they don't see you, I swear people feel it. They just feel it, right? Because you
Yeah.
came committed to work and to honoring them. So it's a way of not just honoring them, but honoring myself as well. So yes, there's plenty of days it'd be a lot easier to stay in your tacky trackies,
Yeah.
but make sure that particularly I'm spending time and being aware of what's coming across and how I'm
Yeah.
presenting myself, and it makes a huge difference. And yes, there are days I don't always do it. We have to remind ourselves and start
Of
over
course.
again. That's where grace comes in.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. I mean, making space for grace for yourself. The word of the day is play, as you said, and smiling and having fun with fashion. I think it's perfect for women in business to hear the message, excuse me, that it is the word of the day is play and smile a bit more and you will have more fun and throw on that hot pink blazer with those black pants and a beautiful cami and a dash of bold on the lips to the office and see what happens. You will get a different response. You will catch the eye and catch conversation, maybe from someone that you've never even met in your business before or stopped and had a conversation with. So
I agree.
yeah, Ruth,
Well,
thank you so much. I so appreciate your time, and you hit a really few important points on the head here with regards to women in business and the responsibility we feel and the responsibility we carry to ourselves, to those around us, younger than us as well, and to the relationship part of the impact we have in business. I so appreciate you. What a beautiful woman. What a powerhouse. I love the points that Ruth was raising about connecting, intentionally connecting with women who are much younger or much older than you in business, in the marketplace. Look for those connections. That's why we call it Dress to Connect. Remember the accessory that is your smile, that is actually part of the Linda Page capsule wardrobe. Because if you're anything like me, when I am concentrating or if I'm serious or I'm feeling under pressure, that's what this is about. I tend to frown a lot. We've got to actually undo that. Botox helps. I have tried it a couple of times. And that's a very personal decision, by the way. Botox, breast reductions, breast augmentations, liposuction, all of that stuff is very personal. There's no right and wrong. It's personal to you. It's part of your personal style. It's your spirit of beauty. You get to decide. So what a beautiful woman, just to be encouraging, making space for grace. I shared that story with you. We have to make space for grace, and we have to remember that we have far more in common than we do in conflict. And the blazer, okay, I talk about blazing a trail. I am all about blazers. I must have about a dozen blazers, from red to hot pink to green to beautiful ivory to black velvet. An easy way to doll up an outfit, if you are a t-shirt and jeans kind of girl with some tennis shoes on, is put on a beautiful blazer. Try something that is structured and tailored. And instead of the cardigan, I'm so anti-cardis, but okay, if you have to have a cardi, then you want to have a maxi cardi that goes all the way down to either 3/4 or to your ankles. It just is a smarter thing. But a cardigan very quickly looks scruffy. Okay, so if you get cold, try the blazer. I have many of them, and it will help the temperature factor in your body, and it will just bring some structure and tailoring and a smart kind of statement of style to your outfit instantly without trying very hard. Zara is my go-to for blazers. You get them everywhere, but Witchery is another brand, but Zara is great for blazers. So join us at school.com. The link is below, SKOOL. It's a cool style school. It's where we break some fashion rules. No, you don't have to wear certain things yes, you can wear white after Labor Day. No, you don't. All of those things that actually are steeped in archaic rules don't have much space or place in our lives today. Why? And most of them were designed to bring an elitist, exclusive feel to certain communities in society. So if what you're using as far as fashion rules works for you, then great, whatever blows your hair back. But don't ask the question, is it in fashion? That's so irrelevant. It's like, according to whom? If you ask 5 stylists, is this in fashion or does this go? You're going to get 5 different responses. You need to work out what works for you and your body shape with your personal style, with fashion, the Ferrari that is in your closet, as the inspirer, as the change agent. So join us in our free community at school.com. It's the Linda Page Style School at school.com. It's free. And as you walk in the front door, you're going to get a $297 gift from me called Kickstart Your Closet, which is a 5 or 6 hour online course about how to take control back of your closet. What is the capsule wardrobe? How do I even go about understanding what my body shape is? Just to get you started, just to get you off the fence, because you've heard me say it. The fence is the devil's playground. Why? Isn't that quite a harsh thing to say, Linda? No, because the fence is where you'll find indecision, who is good buddies with procrastination, who is hanging out with lack of action, who is, by the way, connected at the hip to the perfectionist. You don't want to be a perfectionist. It's not a good thing. Perfectionism is rooted in fear. Perfectionism does not like to make mistakes, and mistakes are not just okay, they are essential for success. And confident women are okay making mistakes. You heard Ruth say it herself. One of the things we touch on a lot in the program and at a certain level in life and in business is ownership. If you take ownership of the mistakes you make, the screw ups, who you are, what you stand for, what comes out of your mouth, the work that you put out there, the relationships that you have, ownership is very powerful. It's very, very powerful. So as long as you're taking ownership for that, screw ups are essential. You can't blame and complain when you stuff up. You have to take ownership and be a woman who makes space for grace. I will never forget the kindness with which Grace, at least Ruth, responded to my apology. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just screwed up. And she responded with, I said to her, listen, can we hop onto a Zoom call? I need to make this right. And please, as soon as possible. And she jumped on a call and she listened. And I heard her out and we reconnected. And my respect for her was already high. It goes 10x when, as women in business, we make space for grace. Because if not that, then you're saying it's not okay to make a mistake and you're not a safe place. And we all screw up. All of us, we all screw up. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be going for gold. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be bold or ambitious. Humility is the most important thing when it comes to your personal style. In fact, the Bible talks about the cloak of humility. It's my favorite scriptural clothing analogy. Always remember your cloak of humility, especially if you're in a bold, powerful position of influence in the marketplace. It's very magnetic. And it's what confident women wear. Humility alongside ownership, alongside always learning and investing in themselves, and all of that good stuff. Doesn't matter where you are, friend, what you've been through. If you are in a place where you need women around you, like Ruth was talking about, who are that sisterhood, and we are not bra-bearing feminists, by the way. That is not who we are at Linda Page. We are just women who have taken a decision that we're done playing small, dressing down, and feeling frumpy and frustrated and feeling on the back foot and wondering, what am I going to wear today? I've got a closet full of clothes, yet nothing to wear. These are the women who've decided, I want to learn how to dress myself according to my body shape, according to my budget. I want to learn what color works well on me. I want to learn the power of personal style and how it's going to boost my confidence and my influence and even the income that you've heard from stories here on this podcast that you will find at lindapage.com. Go and listen to their stories. Listen to their stories and make the decision that it's time for your story. Because you have a spirit of beauty, friend. It has power and it has purpose. And you are called to arise and shine. That is the call to action, is to get up, dress up, and be a bold light on a hill, to invest in yourself, to strengthen, to power up and go out there and live an amazing life and then help others to do the same. So join us at lindapage.com or jump into our free community, which is at school.com. The link is below. Come on over and say hello. Get a free gift as you walk in the front door. You'll be warmly welcomed by amazing women of all ages and stages of life. And you'll be surrounded by an intentional community of women who will celebrate your success and applaud you and encourage you when you look amazing. They are truly women who are arising and shining and creating a renaissance of our brand new woman who is restoring the bonds between women, because we so desperately need to do that. And it starts with one person. It starts with the woman in the mirror. Thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you for listening to the beautiful Ruth. Thank you for being here and really giving consideration right now to who you are, where your body is at right now, how it looks, what your personal style is or isn't, and where you are on the confidence scale. That's a good question to ask yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're ready to step onto the cover of Vogue magazine, where is your confidence on that scale right now? And then whatever the number is, why? What do you attribute that to? Self-confidence is a muscle that can be built. It's not something that you can just demand and muster up. It doesn't work like that. The good news is style is just a skill and confidence can be built. And I am excited to perhaps see you in our free community at school.com, the Linda Page Style School. You are worthy, friend. You are so worthy of arising and shining, of walking into a room and being respected and admired as a woman of strength, a woman of beauty, a woman of substance, and having fun with fashion, as we were talking with Ruth about just now. The word of the day is play. So you get up, you dress up, you be that bold light on a hill, and I will see you on the other side. Kick-ass confidence for the woman who wants more passion, power, and personal style.